Is an unborn child a living and whole human being, or simply a cluster of cells no different than skin cells or tumors? Let's find out. Hello everyone, this is My Two Cents. In the first video of this series, I attempted to explain where the disagreement is between pro-life and pro-choice libertarians. In summary, pro-life libertarians believe that an unborn child is a living and whole human being, and therefore abortion is a violation of the non-aggression principle. Pro-choice libertarians have at least 3 different ways that they can argue in favor of abortion. The first being that unborn children are not living and whole human beings. In this second video, we'll resolve this conflict from a scientific standpoint. This is actually the easiest defense of abortion to refute, since the scientific facts are not in dispute. Not among medical experts, anyways. My contention and the contention of all pro-lifers can be summed up as such. From the earliest stages of conception, unborn children are living, distinct, and whole human beings. They are not parts of human beings like individual cells and bodily organs, but rather distinct individuals with their own genetic identity that will mature to adulthood unless acted upon externally in order to stop nature from taking its course. As such, the willful destruction of a fetus ends a human life. As I just said, this view is uncontroversial amongst the experts. Consider the following quotations from actual embryology textbooks. It is the penetration of the ovum by a spermatozoon and resultant mingling of the nuclear material that each brings to the union that constitutes the culmination of the process of fertilization and marks the initiation of the life of a new individual. Patten, 1968. Human development begins at fertilization when a male gamete or sperm unites with a female gamete or oocyte to form a single cell, a zygote. This highly specialized totipotent cell marked the beginning of each one of us as a unique individual. More in Persaud, 2008. In fact, in 1981, 8 years after the infamous Roe v. Wade decision, the US Senate held hearings with the intent of answering the question of when life begins, something that Justice Blackmun had danced around but refused to answer in his opinion defending the Supreme Court's decision. Professor Michelin Matthews Roth of Harvard Medical School stated the following: "It is incorrect to say that biological data cannot be decisive. It is scientifically correct to say that an individual human life begins at conception." The subcommittee report went on to conclude, "Physicians, biologists, and other scientists agree that conception marks the beginning of the life of a human being, a being that is alive and is a member of the human species. There is overwhelming agreement on this point in countless medical, biological, and scientific writings." So, the scientific fact that an unborn child is a living, distinct, and whole human being is not in dispute. No one is claiming that unborn children are mature human beings, but it is clear that every one of us began to exist as a unique individual at conception. But wait, 2 cents, some of you might say. Every cell in our body is alive. Every time you scratch the back of your hand, you kill skin cells. How can you say that a being that doesn't yet have a brain or a heart is a human being? To this, I will say again that my contention is that unborn children are distinct, living, and whole human beings. Each of our individual bodily cells is only part of a larger organism that exists to fulfill a specific function. It is in fact the ability of our cells to work together in a coordinated manner that makes us distinct living entities. Dr. Maureen Condict, Assistant Professor of Neurobiology and Anatomy at the University of Utah, states it thus: "The critical difference between a collection of cells and a living organism is the ability of an organism to act in a coordinated manner for the continued health and maintenance of the body as a whole. It is precisely this ability that breaks down at the moment of death, however death might occur. Dead bodies may have plenty of live cells, but their cells no longer function together in a coordinated manner." In other words, what separates a cluster of living cells and a distinct living organism is the fact that the cells work together toward the goal of the continued flourishing of the organism. If we were to implant a group of bodily cells inside a woman's uterus, they won't even attempt to grow into a distinct, functional human being. Even with the revolutionary process of cloning, an individual bodily cell must be acted upon externally in order to fuse its genetic constituents within a nucleated ovum and create a living human embryo. This process does not happen naturally without direct, coordinated intervention. Even cancerous tumors, which do in fact grow, are the result of mutated genes or disrupted chromosomes which send an otherwise healthy bodily cell into a state of uncontrolled and harmful growth, as states Dr. Peter Duesberg, a molecular and cellular biology professor at the University of California. Tumors, then, while alive, are not distinct, whole human organisms. Some scientists have even suggested that they should be classified as a new parasitic species altogether. This is a controversial view to say the least, but the point is that tumors and unborn children are simply not the same kind of organism. Some other critics point to the fact that sperm and ovum are themselves alive prior to the process of conception, but this again confuses parts with wholes. A sperm and an ovum respectively have only 23 chromosomes, and left by themselves can never grow into a mature human being. Former United States Surgeon General Charles Everett Koop states, "A sperm has 23 chromosomes. Even though it is alive and can fertilize an egg, it can never make another sperm. An egg also has 23 chromosomes, and it can never make another egg. Thus, we have sperm that cannot reproduce and eggs that cannot reproduce unless they get together." A final objection to the scientific status of the unborn as a human being is the fact that many people mistakenly try and compare the process of biological growth to a process of artificial construction. For example, one could ask the question of how long into the process of construction do you have a house? Maybe once the walls and the roof have been put together, or maybe not until the structure can be safely navigated. Some still may say it is not a house until it is suitable to be lived in. However, no one thinks you have a house immediately after the construction workers lay the foundation. Thus, some may argue, a fetus is no more a human being at the early stages of growth than a house is a house when the foundation is laid. These two things, however, are not analogous. Living organisms are not like material structures in that they are not constructed externally by an outside agent. They develop on their own through the natural process of growth and nutrition. If you place the lumber, cement, drywall, and every other individual part that goes into the construction of a house next to each other, the parts won't even attempt to become a house. This takes an external builder. A human embryo, however, is a living human being from the moment of conception. It will grow to adulthood unless its natural growth is actively stopped by something else. I imagine at this point that some of you in the pro-choice camp may be shouting, "But 2 cents! Even if a fetus is a distinct, living, and whole human being, it is still not a human person. It lacks sentience, rationality, the capacity for reflective choice, and a whole host of other things that separate human persons from animals." You would be right. This is a separate objection that needs to be answered, which I will do in the next video. But in summary, the purpose of this video is to argue that unborn children are, scientifically speaking, living, distinct, and whole human beings. Please feel free to leave your comments below. As I said before, when all 4 videos are complete, I will make a 5th video in which I address what I believe to be the best counter-arguments that were presented. Also, YouTube has been demonetizing my videos left and right, including the last 5 uploads prior to this one. If you're a fan of my work, it would be much appreciated if you could spare even $1 a month on Patreon, or any of the other donation methods. Check out my video Updated Patreon Rewards to learn more, link below. And that is my 2 cents. Take it for what it's worth. Thanks everyone for watching. If you liked this video, please hit like and subscribe. You can also hit the bell to ensure you're notified every time I upload a new video. This video was made possible by my patrons. If anyone else would like to donate and help ensure that I have the time and resources to keep putting out content, for just $1 a month on Patreon or Maker Support, you'll have your name listed in the end credits of every video and the link to one of your social media platforms listed in the description. You can also support the channel by purchasing my 2 cents merchandise on Teespring. You can also follow me on Twitter, Minds.com, BitChute, WordPress, Gab, and iTunes. Uploads are every Thursday and Saturday, so stay tuned for more videos.